Hello, everybody. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Amy, Nancy. Okay, very good. Great. So, technical problems, obviously, but we seem to have jury-rigged the solution, which is great. And let us know if you're having trouble hearing us. So, calling this meeting to order at 4:35. Appreciate your patience. So, we'll try to go as efficiently as possible. Introductions, I'll start and go around, and then we'll go up to the board. So, I'm George Tolonsis, and I'm the planning board rep to this committee. I'm the vice chair, and at the direction of the chair, I facilitate the meetings.
I'm Mary Ficklin. I'm chair of the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee and a member of the public.
Joe Keane, a public member.
Nancy, can you go next? Nancy, can you hear? Can you do the introduction? Oh, okay. Amy, how about you?
I can hear. I'm Amy Kaling, Director of Community and Economic Development and a community member on the committee.
And I believe you are, if you could clarify, you're Eric's designee to sit for this meeting. Is that accurate?
Yes, if you need me for quorum, or yes, I guess broadly speaking.
So you're a voting member at this meeting, which you're often not. So thank you. Nancy, could you please do the introduction?
Nancy Hazard, General Public.
Thank you.
John Garrett, City Council Representative.
Marie Francoise App, general public member. Carol Collins, Greenfield Energy Director.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. So next item is the approval of the June 27th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second? Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes. The only thing I would add is just at the end where there was some public comment. Maybe it's just because it's split on 2 pages, but thought it might be good to just point out that Carl Meyer, it was his opinion, because the way it's just stated there, it seems like they're facts. So, just some way to clarify. Got it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Nancy?
Yes, on land use 4.1, I think it's the third point. It says, Nancy said the contribution from some pumps and the sewage overflow is quite small, etc. I would like this to be amended to read, Alan Tworog, city engineer, says, blah, 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 blah. And at the very end of it, you could say, for clarification, it's not a high priority for the city. That's their opinion, not mine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? I have a few things in the first page, first bullet in number 3, when it mentions Eric as chair of FRTA, right after FRTA, add the 2 words advisory board. That's what he's there on. On the next land use 2.1, the first bullet and the next to last bullet are basically the same thing about cluster development and the planning board's work on that. So those 2 bullets are fine. Similarly, under item number 4, the 5th and last.
1 minute, please.
Sorry.
Where are you now, please?
Now, item number 4, second page.
Okay.
Under open space task force, the 5th and 7th bullet points are identical. So, and the 3rd bullet point is just a typo. It should add the word "to." We are looking to at members rather than looking at members. That's it for me. Any other discussion? All board members in favor with those edits?
Yes.
Amy, you're yes? Okay, very good. That's unanimous. So there you go. Cool. Next item is the 2024 master plan recommendations review. So we're gonna share a screen with this, right?
Yep.
And I hope everybody can see that.
They can't yet.
Oh, you will in a second.
Now can everybody see it?
Yes,
Yes.
Nancy?
Very good, thanks. And so Mary, this is gonna be, was Carol gonna kind of lead us through this? Okay.
I actually didn't know I was leading this, but I read it in the minutes or the whatever. So, I don't know if someone wants to read them. I honestly, okay.
So how do you want to do this?
You could read or Jonah could read, whichever you would prefer. Well, I have a lot of things that end, or at least some of them end mid-sentence. So. Yeah, yeah, if you don't mind.
And you'll also check the places where there were comments made, because I see a bunch of those. Thank you. So we're starting with the strategy, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Looking at strategy here, land use 4.2. Incorporate green infrastructure and low impact design strategies into all municipal projects. And
there's a comment on the
comment
strategy.
on the strategy is by Nancy. FYI, FERCog has applied for a grant for an extensive location facility analysis of stormwater BNTs on municipal properties in downtown Greenfield. They will hear by end of so we'll go action by action to discuss. You want to read through them all or one at a time?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first implementation action, conduct an analysis of impervious surfaces, slopes, and stormwater drains to determine where the heaviest flows of stormwater enter storm drains, streams, and rivers, and where rain gardens or rain garden integrated storm drains could most effectively intercept and infiltrate rainfall. John says the update mentioned materials that are pervious that could be used for paving. Would be interested to understand that better.
And I'll call on myself. And by the way, gonna figure out a way we'll know if Nancy or Amy has, if they're raising their hands to comment, because I don't know.
I think we can see that here.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And I just wanted to, that comment, you said in the update, I wasn't sure what.
who's speaking? I can't hear whoever's,
What was that, Nancy?
I cannot hear whoever was trying to speak.
That was me.
Yeah, we gotta be, as deliberate as we can to.
I was interested in knowing what you could pave a lot with other than asphalt that water could get through.
So, again, I'm not really sure what you're looking for, but I would just say that it says this is a new strategy. This is definitely something to hire a consultant on who specializes in resilience. And I've been trying to gather different firms that have done this, look at other projects. The MVP grant has funded several amazing projects, more than several, dozens and dozens around the Commonwealth. So I like to look at that to get ideas. So, I mean, I know kind of we're just supposed to say, is this good, right, to pursue? So I don't know if anyone has anything else to add, but I think it's the way I've come to look at it recently, and again, by reading through like what the climate report has in it, and the state itself is working on some really interesting plans to have like a comprehensive resiliency plan for the whole state by the end of 2024 that will identify how to conserve, enhance, and how to deal with increased flooding issues and other climate changes that we expect, or stormwater mitigation that we need to do. So knowing that's coming is really helpful, but we need something on a watershed basis to look at. We're trying to keep it all from winding up at the wastewater treatment plant, or, just trying to deal with things as they occur. I think a prioritized list is what we're looking for, like a prioritized plan to show, all of this stuff is wicked expensive. A lot of it's incredibly difficult to implement, and so really working with someone who's an expert to identify where our efforts should go to get the best improvement for the money.
I'll call it myself. I would, in keeping with John's comment, I would suggest that we add into the implementation action reference to and pervious alternatives, as far as when it says impervious services, something about pervious alternatives, just to capture that concept.
I would just say there is an education section in land use 4.4, so I think that might work better there, because it can dovetail in with creating a demonstration site and using existing toolkits.
Okay, so you do you want to add it in here?
I think having those, I think repetition is helpful. If it's in more places than one, unless, but
You're saying to use, that we look to use those options more, not just, you're saying, and put in an education section?
There is an education section.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, so for instance, there is a demonstration up at UNH where you can go and look at all these measures. It's fabulous, so you can really understand it, especially when someone's smart telling you what they do. So I see that as being a critical piece to all these other items that are under the Educate 4.4 section.
I'll agree with that. I'm just saying, this is also talking about an analysis. And I think the analysis should include considering pervious service alternatives. That's my take on it. They can't hurt to have that in that place.
And I'll just note, this is in the open space plan, in the open space task force. Just are prioritizing what goals from that we'd like to address, and this is very similar to one that we were interested in a smaller group.
Okay. Anything else on that? Should we go on to the next implementation act?
All right.
I kind of wish that anyway, there's definitely some pieces that Marlo could input and Eric, but the other thing that's mentioned that I think is not really mentioned elsewhere is the hazard mitigation plan, and that will need to be updated. I believe it's like next year, or within the next 2 years.
Where are you looking at?
I'm sorry, in the climate report, so that's what I have, not in this. But the city's gonna be doing that anyway, we have to, and it's where we look at emergencies and so this analysis is very key to the kinds of things we're looking at for that as well.
Would that be referenced in that implementation action?
I think, yeah, maybe to the analysis that can inform the next update.
I can work that in. I'm putting it in comments right now, because
No, that's fine.
wordsmith is like,
Yeah, right. Great. Thanks. Okay.
All right, section number 2, require that proposals for all major projects include a quote for green infrastructure aimed at slowing, retaining, and promoting infiltration of stormwater. Explore different avenues for financial assistance for implementation. Green infrastructure is determined to not be feasible due to cost. An explanation of cost and funding options explored should be presented there.
There were several
Comments here. This could also go down by
done by the council, right?
Oh, okay.
can you guys speak up a
This,
little bit?
so this could also be done by the council, rather than relying on the executive. The council could legislate it. codifying the role of the energy department in such an explanation rather than just SGSC would be my vote. So presenting to the energy department rather than SGSC. Yep. Here. And lastly, the SGIC is not an adjudicative, yeah, same.
I didn't know where to go.
Right, right.
Okay, so should we just scratch that last sentence of the,
I think we should scratch that whole item and rework it, because I know what the intention is. But I also know what it's like to actually do projects, and that is gonna be, it's just a nightmare. First of all, trying to find contractors who can give you accurate proposals. It's hard enough to get proposals anyway when we're trying to do clean energy projects or any of the projects that we're doing. All of this is so difficult. And so it's a noble effort to, and again, like, it's so that you can have some way to weigh, oh, look, it's not gonna cost you that much more or whatever. If people aren't on board with it, trust me, they're gonna find a contractor, which is probably gonna be the contractor they're already working with, that they've already worked with, who's gonna tell them it's way too expensive and just throw out. So again, execution is a whole nother thing on this front. So I would be a proponent, not that I have an answer, but of another way to try to go about this. And whether it's requiring that it's included, and then they can prove, well, even that, it's not easy.
Yeah.
so I suggest we could just change require that to seek proposals, something like that.
I will tell you that it won't happen.
Okay. So we shouldn't do things that, I mean, you're the one at the last meeting who had these wonderful ideas, like, you know, no more single family housing. And you were saying, you know, somebody's got to be the rabble rouser or whatever.
Yep,
So
yep.
Yeah,
should we not seek this at all?
Not in this way, I don't think.
Okay.
so the current language in the master plan is that all new projects must incorporate green infrastructure,
Okay,
which is being,
that's from 2014?
right, being
Okay,
completely disregarded. So I think we need something. I am fine with this being changed, but we need something that
Mhm.
pushes it along besides it just being the goal in the master plan.
right.
So we need something to move it forward that it's not currently being moved.
I call myself when I said major project.
Sure.
So, I think, I appreciate what you're saying, wording, and I appreciate what you're saying about it, you know, resonates with something that's already in the master plan. I think maybe we should see about, you know, bring that phrasing back and look at how we can keep this, with the idea that we already have something that's references. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think most importantly, we want something effective, right? We want something that's gonna move
Yeah.
forward. That
Yeah.
doesn't really matter to me what the language is, as long as it's gonna be better than the current setup where people are just disregarding this current goal. And with when I brought up the Marlowe a couple of times, it's usually been expense, it's just been pushed aside and said that's too expensive. So I think this is an attempt to move it along where at least there's some, we can look and say, oh, it is too expensive, or maybe it's not. So something to try to move it forward.
Maybe expense should not be the barrier.
Say
You're
again?
maybe it's kind of,
opening the door for them to say this is too expensive and then not doing it.
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't be mentioning that expense would be something that would inhibit the thing from moving forward.
Right.
Got to figure it
so
out.
do we want to, since there's it seems like an acceptance of rewording it, should we just flag that and look at the language that, Donna is referencing and then, come back to it? Okay.
I'm curious, Carol, what do you think?
I'm a fan of putting effort in. All of this is a lot of effort. It's what I do all day long. And I really like to spend the time to make sure something's effective. I feel like so often everyone's got ideas. and then trying to execute them is a whole other ballgame.
Mhm.
And so I'm saying that I wish it wasn't the case. And I would love to require net zero buildings. It's easy.
Yeah.
I would love to require that every project incorporates everything. I mean, but I'm trying to think it through, and I didn't get a chance to spend as much time, and it's a lot of work to do this. And honestly, like, I think this is where a consultant would be really helpful to come up with ideas. Other people have figured this out. They're making things work. So I just don't think we should push this because it came up, and I don't think that it's going to serve the purpose that people want. So either, even if we required it for all projects, which they kind of already do, that's why I wish Eric was here. Aldi has, constructed wetlands, and they don't have just a swale, right? They did a pretty great job, and that was because it was required by the Concom, right?
Not exactly sure of that.
I saw the plans.
Yes,
There's some question about, you're talking about private development, there's some question about city projects.
No, I know.
And so,
City projects already, I believe, which is, again, why I wish Marla was here, but I'm pretty sure it's already a bylaw that,
well, it's not in practice,
or ordinance.
it's not in practice, that's what I believe.
I know that.
Yeah.
That's why we need to get there.
Yeah,
You can't even go out and get more proposals when it's already like, so we're right now working on, I think, the third RFP to try to get one project done, because there's been no responses. So you start requiring, the more you require and the more difficult it is, nobody responds. That's how this works. That's how this game works. We're constrained by rules. As far as the city goes, that's a whole different ballgame. And I believe it already says, use green infrastructure wherever possible, unless constrained by expense or something like that. That's the out. So nothing's happening. My rabble rousing is to educate the city staff, is to hire people that are already on board with this stuff. This should not be the exception that gets added on to everything. It should be what everyone is doing. It should not be having to fight every step of every way to get an electric vehicle. I mean, it's freaking 2024. You wouldn't believe how hard it is. And the same with every single, but I will say, I haven't confirmed it, but I took photos of it. I swear to God, there's permeable pavement down at the fire station in the parking spaces.
Mhm.
So I just want to rework it.
I would suggest this facilitator, because we're not getting too stuck on this, because we're saying, it needs more, examination. We're saying there's something that it echoes that's already in the master plan that we should look at, that's thrown upon. We're saying that it would be good to have Eric and Marlo's input. I'm suggesting we table this, because it looks like, because of our delay with the technical stuff, we're not gonna have folks get through all of this, this tonight. So I suggest we table that until the next, I'll come back to it. That's my suggestion.
my one larger big picture comment will just be, we don't disagree on the outcome, we all want to see the same outcome. But this question that you're bringing up is a much larger one for this whole thing, this whole process. Is brought into question.
Yeah.
Like what's actually effective in getting to the goals we want. Yeah. So I think that's an important one that you should figure out. Just because nobody wants to waste their time.
And next, invitation.
All right. Upgrade all municipal parking lots using low impact development principles with consideration of the 2012 Conway School study as a model. Upgrade or replace. Seems unreasonable to upgrade a lot that should actually just become something else like housing.
That includes somewhere else that a lot of the parking lots are too large and they should.
That would be separate.
That would be,
Yeah.
this was a project that was done in 2012 where they looked at, and already, out back here, Chapman Davis lot and, now Miles Street are already adhering to what they, recommended. So it does say upgrade. I agree, though, on a couple of fronts, that, maybe evaluate the feasibility of upgrading.
You're talking
And
about,
now that when we did the master plan, when they did that, housing was not an issue. That wasn't, so that's a whole new, lens to look at things through.
I have a possible wording.
Can
I have a
Say that
possible,
again, Nancy?
can
a
you hear,
little louder if you could, Nancy.
can you hear me now? Can you
Yep,
hear me?
yes.
I have a wording suggestion. I haven't been able to hear everything you're saying, but why not say, when upgrading a municipal parking lot, blah, blah, blah. So in other words, if the parking lot doesn't need to be upgraded, then wait until it's ready to be upgraded and then do it right.
Okay,
Just kind of incorporated in other items, but yeah.
Okay.
I think we,
okay.
next item.
Next,
All right. This one following up on your point,
Yep.
Carol, train DPW staff on green infrastructure installation and maintenance.
Now,
Yes.
No comments? Oh, yes, no.
I guess I just would,
Can you speak up?
yep, sorry. The only question I have is, should it be more specific, like, they should be trained on installing rain gardens for parking lots, should they be trained, or just keeping it vague? Okay.
I would just say that the most important thing that I've come across is that it should be people that are also the practitioners that are from other DPWs. That's what I've seen be most effective. So it's, and a lot of the most successful examples I've seen are like a trial and error. It's just being like, we're on board, this is all kind of new, what works? And the Providence Parks Director is my favorite person in the world who's done just phenomenal things. But it's been, she's been working on it for like 15 plus years. It's a long, slow process. So having the education and training, I think it will be ongoing, and also from similar, like if you get some, I don't know, what do you call it, from light fields, something like that. But a lot of the, and they call them now nature-based solutions, whatever, but a lot of those can be implemented in different ways. So just learning what they are, then they can apply them. Everyone prefers that.
What's the study of the Maple Brook culvert system with plans for phased implementation of green infrastructure within its catchment area to reduce flooding and improve the health of adjacent water bodies? Areas that could be addressed in such a study include the mouth of the culvert at Miller's Meadow, any easements or city-owned land between Chapman Street and Davis Street, 34 Riddell Street, and opportunities to capture stormwater upstream. The study should also describe the maintenance needs of any proposed intervention.
Oh, my God, this is so detailed. 34 Riddell Street, is that?
That's that old storage building that the city owns.
Oh, the one.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
I think the students were just
Yeah, that was
excited
very-
that they learned this information and
Uh-huh.
they put it in here, but I don't know that that level of.
It really seems like it would be a subset of the first item about doing the analysis of the
Really? Okay.
stormwater drains, it's a culvert that's.
And it's special focus,
Yeah.
could be on the Maple Brook culvert.
Is it the same, stakeholders? No, it's not.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you're
yeah.
saying to incorporate this much shorter version of this into the first 4.2 first action item?
Well, basically, it's an example of what I would expect would come out of that top item. We're basically looking at how we mitigate stormwater.
So,
And the city has an MVP proposal in right now to look at 34 Riddell Street and to upgrade it. There's a
Yeah.
MVP planning proposal in.
So is the other content of that, item significant enough that it should be mentioned as an example under the first?
I like that.
Okay. That's all set. Should we go ahead?
Apply for MVP and other funding to include green infrastructure and stormwater system upgrades.
I think that should be asterisk, and I would like to be added to that.
What do you mean,
As a stakeholder.
what do you mean, a
Police
big
department.
asterisk?
There is a ton of money on the MVP grant, and they're funding really great projects.
Yeah.
That will be incredibly difficult to make happen here, but man, we need to. And, you know,
Is the asterisk just for emphasis?
just like, that is a huge pot of money that the city, we need the study at the top so that we can start applying for, and, you know, like the Maple Brook culvert. We need a study so we know what to even prioritize costs so that we can then get, I mean, cities are getting massive amounts of money and doing amazing projects. Lowell Sponge Park, just look it up. Awesome. But, so that's all. I would just kind of, you know, highlight that that's a big pot of gold at the end of that subject.
Is, we have somewhere else, just like we have LID, spelled out in the strategy, shouldn't MVP, we have that indicated anywhere what that acronym stands for?
And I don't think it's called living. Nobody, you're not supposed to call it living, it's LAD. And now it's basically food. And this is why it's so hard.
Isn't it?
Like,
I'm
the
sorry.
basic things, AD,
Yeah. Are we all set on that? We keep going, or?
what's the A for?
Are we ready to go to the next strategy? here, please?
LAD has changed to ND, nature-based. Oh.
All right. Moving on to a new strategy, land use 4.3, encourage developers and landlords to employ best practices for stormwater management.
Mhm.
Action number 1, remove or reduce parking requirements or implement parking maximums to reduce impermeable surfaces outside of downtown. John says, reducing impermeable surfaces downtown also makes sense to me, even though it's built up and should be more so. We could encourage green roofs on some of our block buildings.
I think it's nice to have further counts, but, yeah, I just went through it. It would be reading along.
Right.
And it looks like that's an existing
Yep.
action, implementation.
So should I add inside? Outside of downtown as well as in downtown?
I just think getting rid of parking requirements.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I believe there are no parking minimums, which is what we should be aiming for. So I was wondering if that's why I said existing, and again, that's a question for Eric, but
There are some.
are there
Yeah.
in downtown or?
In general, I know medical offices, like
Yep.
12 spaces.
Yep.
You would know far better.
Because it came up with the library, that was the whole reason the fire station went away.
So, if there's some, are we suggesting altering that to reference downtown or not?
I just got rid of downtown,
Yes, because it should be broad.
I just did do that, okay,
in general.
okay.
You don't want to
All right.
play paradise.
Establish LID ordinances for commercial, industrial, and redevelopment projects.
Yes. And I would change the lead department and stakeholders to be a consultant who would develop those. And yes, the planning board should be involved. And I guess, I don't know, I would, other cities typically will hire someone to draft those. And then it seems like a lot of those are people who would vote on it, right? Or I guess.
Planning board to initiate it.
Yeah.
And the city council decide it.
And I would like to also be added.
Yes, of
Yep,
course.
yep.
But we're planning to come.
Donna, did you see the chat?
Just point out, no chat is not allowed in open meeting law. You cannot use chat
Somebody can do
because it
it,
can't be seen by everybody, so.
so just try to talk louder.
The chat says she can't hear very well.
Okay, that's helpful.
We'll try, Stephanie. All right.
I would just like to emphasize something that, I do think it's really important, especially with all the efforts that are being made to really push us forward, to do it incredibly well and smartly. And that does cost money sometimes, and it takes time. So I am a very big advocate. I also know that a lot of consultants are a waste of money, but doing our due diligence to hire experts who know this stuff. This is a lot of really kind of, I don't want to say cutting edge, but it's, you know, it's very esoteric and we need experts if we're going to accomplish our goals.
Mary, I want to check in with you, as far as our timing. Because the, situation with the mics was never resolved. We're having to use a jury rig setup where we have a, sample that we're having the audio go through. So I wondered if we want to stop a few minutes early for the next meeting to be able to figure out how they're going to set up. And we still have to, we're going to allow for public comment and do some brief announcements. So should we stop? I wonder if this item at this time is rather break. Is there anything? Okay. So going on with the rest, the printed agenda, the SGIC Open Space Task Force update. I guess that's going to be tabled till next month. Okay. And next is public comment, and I guess Mary's at the discretion of the chair. And you want to invite public comment? Okay. So just offering Stephanie, if you've been here, thank you for your patience with the delay. I just wanted to see if you had any public comment you want to offer at this time.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. Stephanie Duclos, 166 Chapman Street. Really looking forward to, you know, seeing these goals implemented on that level. I didn't hear a big part about some exclusion of single family houses. I wanted to know if anybody could explain that a little more. And I did want to find out where that information is accessible to the public. You know, you guys are sharing it on the screen, but is it somewhere within like a committee, like PDF, because the PDFs aren't enclosed within the agenda. So it's hard to, you know, look at what you guys are looking at. You know, we're just looking at the blurb of what's on the agenda, but we don't really get to, you know, look at the documents you guys are looking at. So I was just wondering if there's a way that we can. Thanks.
Mary, could I address the first question Stephanie asked? Because I had been wanting to comment on this. Thank you, Stephanie, for bringing it back to us. That's the single family home thing. And this came up this evening when you said that Carol had some great ideas, including eliminating single family housing.
I don't think I said great, but if I did, I didn't mean.
I think so, and I just wanted to be
I don't ever
clear.
have great ideas.
I just want to be clear for Stephanie and anyone else listening to this recording. The question was raised at the last meeting about that. That is not a stance of the committee. So I just wanted to, it was kind of an outlier kind of possibility that was thrown out there as we were brainstorming. It is not anything the committee has taken a stance on in any. So that's okay. I don't know if anyone else wants to elaborate on that, but.
It was just a question.
And as far as the documentation access, you want to address that?
Yeah, we haven't provided the document to the public because it's in process at this point. Anyone have any thoughts about?
I would think it would be shared after this,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Maybe a final draft.
yeah, I don't know if there's a technical way to share it as a PDF of what it exists right now or something so people can see it, but that's more of a technical question, I guess.
I mean, I guess one way we could address it, and I'm all for this, is to have more of a meeting packet. So if we know we're reviewing, you know, land use 4 point whatever through whatever, we could include it as a PDF so that folks who are attending the meeting and want to look at it ahead of time could do so. And I like that idea, I just haven't implemented that, but
Yes, you're talking about this spreadsheet.
Yes.
yeah,
Could we share it with people as a view only link?
we could.
Okay. Anything, does that answer your question, Stephanie, I take it?
I think that would be great because I'd love to be able to maybe add some comments. I would assume I'm a stakeholder in the Chapman Street, you know, the stormwater runoff. We have tie and bond out here quite often. And I pretty much bring it up at every meeting about the flooding and the impervious surfaces. I would absolutely love to take out every bit of it behind my house and put in anything to help mitigate. That being said, I would love to see more of the documents. And when you guys were referring to, you know, certain 4 point whatever, I was like, oh, I wish I could see this document to, you know, maybe comment on that. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Yeah, point taken. Work on it. Thank you. So moving on, seeing no other members of the public, moving on to announcements. Are there any announcements? I want to share with people, there are a couple things on next Thursday's planning board agenda that would be relevant. One is that Eric and I have conferred in putting several of the housing related items that have come up from the brainstorming of this committee, like allowing multifamily by right in semi-residential, raising maximum number of units allowed in multifamily, and considering allowing detached accessory dwelling units by right in all zones. So those are up for discussion at next week's planning board meeting. And that's August 1st. And potential deliberation vote, but we'll see how that goes. And then secondly, also at that same meeting, there's going to be something I haven't had a chance to read about in detail yet. I know, Mary, you're more familiar with this, the climate corridors or school corridors grant program. You want to quickly say what that's about? So
School corridors is funding that's coming through EEA at the state level, and it's basically funding tree plantings in communities. They're paying for the trees, materials, and also the labor for a contractor to do the installation, and also for them to water for the 2 years after the trees are planted. There's no match required on the part of the city, and so Greenfield Tree Committee is partnering with the city of Greenfield. We're targeting the area where the middle school and the hospital is, which is shown to be, it's got like 70% paved surfaces and only a 7% tree cover, so that's the area that we're working on. And the planning board is being asked to simply approve, not the entire proposal, but just the planting plan. It's required by EEA that the planning board approves just where the trees that are going on municipal land are being suggested.
and my understanding is the time is that we would need to approve it immediately.
Exactly.
The next day.
Yeah,
So,
it was a
yeah,
very
okay.
short turn, this was a very short turnaround. It seems like not that many people know about it this time around.
So that is next August 1st, starting at 6 p.m. and in this room and via hybrid, hopefully, or somehow. Okay, so no other announcements. To give these folks a chance to get set up here, took a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second. If there's no discussion, all in favor? Amy, I'll assume.
I'm
Amy,
in
yes?
favor.
Very good. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Next meeting.
Sorry. Next meeting is August 20, I think.
The 22nd, August 22nd.
August 22nd. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.